Okay, guys. Sorry about that. Sorry for the delay. I want to welcome us to week 4 of our class. So today I'll be introducing project that we're going to, the project that we're going to be building. I think we'll start today, then continue till tomorrow. I believe by tomorrow we'll be able to round up with the project. Then when that is done, we'll now we'll be building with Express. Then when we're done with Express, we now um convert our code to Nest.js, so that we'll have a better understanding of how the two frameworks work. All right, they are kind of similar, but not too similar. So, but there is a way Next.js operates. There are plugins in Next.js that it uses an ExpressJS under the hood. It uses Express and Fastify.js. I don't know if you guys know, someone has heard of Fastify.js. It's also like ExpressJS, a web framework built on Node.js. So, um, all right, guys, let's start. Hope you guys can hear me, right? I've started recording. Hope you can hear me. Give me thumbs up if you can hear me and you can see my screen. You can see my screen, right? All right. So, great. So the project is actually a blog project. I don't want us to build something too complex. All right. I don't want us to build something very complex. So I decided to just get something that will help us have a better understanding of Node.js and Express.js and the frameworks. Right, so I built something on CRUD, and basically, honestly speaking, when you are learning new language like that or new framework, you start with the basics so that you have a better understanding. Then from there, you progress into the advanced stuff. Also on that, you know, after building our knowledge on the basic things there, integrating Redis is not too basic. Even Kafka that we're going to be integrating also is not too basic. All right, so we are not actually basic. It's trying to get the basic, but at the same time get the feel of something advanced, so that we'll be confident anywhere, anytime after this course, that's okay. Yes, if I'm given this project, I'll be able to build it, depending on whatever the project entails. So that being said, my front yes, let me go to localhost. This is the front end of our application. So it's a blog post. All right. Everything is running locally. I can't share the link to you now. I've not deployed it on the cloud, so everything is running locally. But we're going to build this. I want us to build exactly something like this. So I have already populated it with um, some data. So as it is now, I am not logged in. All right, I am not logged in, so you can't. I can view the posts. So this is just like normal blog. When you go on a blog or on social media platforms, when you go there, you can see posts made by people. Even if you have not logged in, you can see posts made by people. You can, read any one of them. All right, you can read them. You can read, read read them, read the comments and stuff like that. See the comments, see everything. But you can't post without logging in. Like as it is now, I can't. There's no way for me to make a post because I need to log in to be able to make a post. So for that, I need to register and log in. All right. So let me register an account. So let me start with let me do my what will I put? Guys, let me use Victor Siemens name. I'm a football fan. So I'm using this email is I don't know if it exists. We are not validating email per se. Like if you for here we are not validating email. Once you just give us email, if you check the email is not registered on our system, we just use it for you. You know, create the account for you. So we are not authenticating it. Like send you a mail to go and to authenticate that the email belongs to you. That's the proper way to to create authentications. All right, to for sign up. But because I don't want to integrate any messaging system service, so I just um, I just went straight, to implement it this way. So, but when you're building like a project that will go public, that will go live, you need to authenticate emails that your users should be signing up with. All right, so let me just use password one here. So if I sign up, all right, so I have signed up. You saw the message. Now I can log in. Let me try to log in. um, Victor. So if I see now, I'm logged in as V. So as you can see now, there is button to log out, and there are extra navigation bars for me, right? Before it was just showing the only post navigation tabs. So but here now I have extras. Here I can go to my profile. I can, this is my profile. I can update my bio, right? Let me just see. All right, so all these things are coming from the backend. You right? I will show us the database where we have these things. In fact, this is the database here, local database. Okay, this is the database we're connected to. This is the email I just created, Victor Sime. All right, this is the account Victor Sime. This is the update I just did. I'm a great footballer. Hope you guys can see my screen, right? So if I go back to the post, yeah. So let me comment on this post as Victor Sime. Okay, if I add um if I can see it's here already. Hello guys, I am Victor. So if I come back to the post again, if I check the post again, you see my comments. Hello guys, I am Victor. I can edit the post, I can delete it. The comments, sorry, this is comment I added. All right, if I create a post, let me create a post here. uh, so if I publish my posts, all right, so this is my post here. If I come here, this is my post, the new post I created as Victor Sime, right? Okay, so let me see if I can log in with this account, Christian Okeke. I think let me see the email I used. Okay, okay. Guys, hope you are following through. If you have any question, you can ask me. Let me log in. Yeah. So now I've logged in as Christian, so it's now C. So this is the post I want to comment. If I come here, um, trust God, I will trust you. So I've commented here on Osimen's post, right? So basically, guys, this is it. I can edit my post. I update my comment. Sorry, so my comment is updated, right? So guys, this is it. Give me thumbs up if you are following, guys. Give me thumbs up. Let me know you are following. All right, all right. Thank you. So I'm going to show us. Um, I'm going to let me explain what we're going to be like working on. How I intend to structure the system and everything, so that um, we'll have a better understanding and start working on it. So um, here I'm going to use a modular architecture, right? I'm going to use modular architecture. Sorry.
Hi, Christian.
Yeah.
Do we get a sketch of the architecture that you want to draft? Maybe like just export the JPEG of it or something,
Yeah.
so we can just make reference when
Actually,
it's
I'm
later.
not designing it. I just want to explain to you. Then, when we start, if we're going to start the project right now, when we start it, you're going to see how everything is going to how I'm going to put everything. It's just going to arrange it structure directory by directory.
Okay, so what I was saying was that I would love to have a sketch of the whole thought process and everything to be
Okay.
nice.
Okay.
So
No
if you can just
problem.
export the JPEG once. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. I think I will get something like that and share with us. All right. So modular architecture. What modular architecture means is that you structure your business the business logic of your of your backend system into modules, right? Modules are like responsibilities. If you are familiar with this, there's something called solid principle. All right, single responsibility, you know, and the rest. So it's like you structure those the backend into modules that you put them into different structures of how you of the different services that you are working on the features rather also. So on this our blog post, we have like I'm going to structure everything into four modules, right? Now, what are the modules? The first one is post, very obvious, right? I'm going to structure, include posts. Then the next one will be column comments. Comments are also, comments are related to posts because comments can exist without posts. Okay. Then the next one is user because we need to sign up and the rest register. Then the other one is authentication. When the user is linked to authentication, right? But I separated the two for some reason. It's how I decided to do that. So when you're building a project like that, you see you have to you know think about what you want to build and structure everything into modules. Then from there you can start creating your writing your code, right? It will help you
Hi,
to
Christian. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
yes.
There's a question. There is a question in the chat.
Okay,
I know you normally
please.
would not see it. That was why I had to call your attention to it.
All right. Um, we are this. I just introduced us to the project, right? So we are going to start building the project from now. Yeah, we're going to. It's going to be an Express JS. So we're going to start building it. All right. All right. So I just want to explain to us how I decided to structure the backend so that when we start seeing it, um, it won't be surprising to us. So then now, how is it going to look? We're going to have from our directory, from our root project root, we're going to have the source folder, which is the src, right? From there,
Sorry to interrupt you, Christian. You said there were four things that is going to be centered around this project, around post, around
post
you said
comments,
post comment,
yeah, comments,
and
users, then
mhm.
authentication.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So this is it now. So I'm going to start with the source folder, right? This is our project root. This is our root project. Normally, our src is inside the root directory of our project. So the src, the modules. Now inside this module, we now have other items. The items I talked about. We're going to have the okay. The Let me start with authentication. All right. Authentication. The other one will be posts. This will be comments. And the final one will be user. All right. So this is how I like we're going to structure it. Then within this, we they will have other provider, other folders like providers, routes, and the rest. But this is the modular structure we're going to be using. Then within each of these module, we're going to have controllers. We're going to have three things, right? Controllers, services, no, four rather. Controllers, services, entities, and routes, right? Controllers are routes are like the where we define the routing, like slash user slash post slash user post slash authentication reg post that slash that post slash that comments, like things like this. I wish I can show this thing here now, but that notwithstanding, I will start the structure now. I'm going to see, but I just want us to be aware of something like this. We're going to see it then with other things there. So let me spin up a new directory and going to start our project. All right, guys. Please, if you can start coding now, I'll call my project Backend Express because we are building the backend with Express for now. So I'll open this in my VS Code. Now we are set, guys. So
Sorry to interrupt you, Christian. You
no
said it's going
problem.
to be a backend Express project.
Yes.
So if we were to build something full stack, for instance, would have both the backend and the front end in the same folder, right?
Um, yes and no. Yes, you can do that. All right. Yes, you can do that if you want to. It's doable. Yeah, you can do that. You can use Express to serve your front end. Okay,
Mm.
but for big project for project that are like when when you start getting jobs and the rest, the firms like to separate the two code bases like front end and back end. They will have someone working on the front end while they assign back end to you, right? So um, or rather they may even want the two project to be separate. You understand? I think project that has both front end and back end in the same folder are just they don't intend to make it big. That's why they just put everything together. But for project that want to go high, they like to separate two code bases. So that's why I decided to not to do this. But I can give you the front end of this project. I will share it. Yeah, I will share it with you. Then you can integrate with you can integrate it to the back end when you start building and the rest. Is there any hand raised? Is If you have any question, you can ask me while we go ahead. So guys, you know what? You know how we start? We first init our npm packages, right? So let's init npm our npm project. Sorry, npm init. I'm going to say hyphen y. So it has initialized for us um, a directory. No, not a directory. That's written out the package.json for us. So here, we'll start our installation. We'll start installing our packages that we're going to use. First things, no, this is going to be a TypeScript project, right? It's going to be a TypeScript project. So first, I like to install my TypeScript. All right. So to install it, like we know, we'll do npm hyphen. I mean, I is install. All right. You can write install, but I like using I. Then you can do save dev. TypeScript is a dev dependency project package. Sorry, is dev dependency package. It means it's just for development of our project. We don't deploy it with we don't deploy it with the project. All right. So because it's dev dependency, we're going to use this flag dash dash save dev as to tell the npm that it's a dev dependency package. So when we do that, then click install. Wait for it to install. I don't know how fast my network is. Right, it's done. So as you can see, it's now under dev. So it's now under dev dependency. So now let's install the things we need for our project. So let's install the main packages. So I'll do npm I. So first thing express, because we are using express. um, mysql mysql 2, the package, because we are going to be connecting our database to mysql database, right? So we need the mysql 2 package. There's mysql 1, there's mysql and mysql 2, so please use mysql 2. All right. So we're going to store our secrets in a .env file, like the password to your database and the rest. You don't need to put them in your code base. You don't need to type them inside your code base because they are secret. They are very important secret that you need to protect. So because of that, we store them in we keep them in a file called .env. I'm going to create it when the time comes. .env. That's where we're going to do it. So and we'll be reading those secrets from that file. And to be able to do that, we need this .env package. All right, that's why I installed it. So the next one we are going to be we need to install this bcrypt. Yeah, this package helps us to, when you are storing your password, when a user signs up, and you're storing it in your database. This is the for the demo I showed you. This is the users table, right? This is the users table. All right, if you look here now, this is the column password, right? If you see this characters here stored in the password doesn't make sense. All right, so it means what these are encrypted password. They are, should I call them hashed? Yeah, they are hashed. All right, so you don't store plain password in your database, you hash them and store them. Okay, so to do that, we use um, we use this package to do that. So the next one is cause. Now what cause does is that cause is cross origin sites. So it's you need it in your system so that when you deploy your backend server on the to the internet, not not all front end will be able to call your backend. All right, to achieve that, you need cause to be configured so that you restrict access to front ends, to origins of front end that will be able to call your backend system. Okay, so basically to it's actually applied to browsers actually. So it means any front-end application that is being used on the browser can't be able to call your backend system. So that's why you need calls. We need to configure calls for our system. All right, then JSON web token. When users log in, uh, we our backend issues a kind of token to the front end, so that when that user sends request to our backend, we'll be able to authenticate the user. It's a security measure, right? Because we'll be able to identify that user based on the token you give the user. Is to protect the system. So any endpoint that you want to protect, like the endpoint to create a post that I showed that I protected. Um, we it's because for if you are not logged in, it means you don't have the token, so that endpoint will not be open to you. If you try to communicate with that endpoint from the front end, it won't go through because it is protected. You don't have the token already, and that token is being generated with this package JSON web token, right? We hash it. The token contains some information that we encrypt and send to the front end. Okay, so that being said, what other? Yes, we need this express validator. So this package, this express validator, what it does is that, when you open your backend to the front end, and they send data, like when I wanted to create a post here. Let me go back here. Like when I wanted to create a post, no. So people can, to be able to protect your database and to protect the kind of items that comes to your system, you need to validate what people types in here. All right, if you want text here, you don't want people typing some kind of religious characters that will hack your system. So you need to validate your whatever they are sending to your system, so that you'll be assured that you are storing valid data. All right, valid data into your system. So we need this package to help us validate, to validate those characters that are coming in into your system. The system is accepting. So guys, basically this is it. These are the packages that we need. Let me see. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. All right, these are the packages that we need. So I'm going to click enter, right, so that everything will install for us. So if you don't understand any of the packages I described here, you can ask me question. Let me explain. I don't know why my network is not fast today. Okay, still installing. Yeah, guys. Yesterday and some days past, some of you were, reaching out to me. Some we are facing some bugs, and we help to debug them and the rest. So I was kind of impressed with the turn up. This is I want this course to be practical. So that's why I decided I want us to build this project, because I could have just, after everything, after all the demonstration practice, we can just call it a day. But I decided to for us to build this project. All right, so it's now installed. So let's install the dependency package, because we need to. They are also needed, right? So npm install hyphen d. So we're going to install some types, right? Most of these packages, because we want to build TypeScript projects. Most of these projects, they don't have, they are older than TypeScript, so they are not written in TypeScript. So we are going to install their types so that we'll be able to use them in TypeScript project. All right, so we're going to start with types bcrypt. Right, bcrypt needs a typing. So because if you don't install this typing, TypeScript is going to is going to complain about it because it can't find typings for it. So the next one is cause, then express also, then I think this one before I forget. Then guys, don't worry, I will share us this package command so that we'll be able to install them. Probably I will share it in the code now in the chat, so we can just put it directly. Just a web token, then node. Then we have our production dev environment runner. So we have this express. Okay, I think that's that. Let me copy it out first. So this is the command. Okay, while that is installing, so I'm going to create our src source folder. Then inside it, I'll create
The Bluetooth.
modules, right?
Sababu mtu anaweza ingia kuibe, mtu anaweza ingia kuibe. Sikula hata ichiko tambo. Umenisikia? Wow.
All right, we are good now. It has installed. So we now have TypeScript and other packages. So let's initialize our TypeScript. I'm going to use npx, right? tsc. Don't forget npx tsc. npx tells the command that it should run from the installed packages in the my lookup project, not in my computer. It should take the command from from my lookup package, not the computer. That's what npx does. All right, that's what npx does. Then hyphen hyphen for TypeScript init. Then if I do this, right, so as you can see, we now have our TypeScript tsconfig.json file. Okay, so uh, our usual way, we'll come here. Let's configure our tsc, tsconfig. I mean, so here, let me delete everything. All right. Let me start from afresh. Include. I'm going to use this. Include will be src. I want to include everything in my source directory. Then exclude will be node modules. Right. I want to exclude this. TypeScript should not look into this directory. That's basically what I'm telling it here. Then also, when we compile our TypeScript, we're going to compile it into a directory called dist. So once you don't want TypeScript to check dist, also the dist directory that we want to compile our TypeScript code into JavaScript code, right? So that is that. Then we'll come to the compiler options. So here, I'm going to use. Oh, sorry. Uh, the library we want to use is ES 2024. All right, then our module is, let's use node next. Targets, yes, root directory, of course. Our root should be our source directory. Then the out directory will be this, of course. This directory we mentioned here, that's what will be here. um, Strict, let's use strict true. Yeah, es module inter, yeah, let's make it true. I like setting it to true. Then skip live check, let's make it true. Module resolution, node nest, let's resolve. Choose this style to resolve packages. Allow and the last one, types should be node. Okay guys, this is the configuration of TypeScript you're going to use. Let me send it to us. Okay, use it in your TypeScript config. So now let's start our basics. So in src here, I created modules directory. I want to create another directory in src. I'll call it config. All right, this directory is where I'm going to put some configuration code, like our database configuration, because we need, when we are connecting to database, we need to configure it. We need the hosts, the URL, the host, the database name, the account, the user we're going to connect with, and the password. So we'll put everything here. Then the module, this is where so let me create those things I talked about, those modules I talked about. So auth. All
Sorry, please,
right.
can you take that again? What are we going to be putting inside the config?
Okay, it's our database configuration, right? To connect to
Okay.
database, you need basically four items. You need the host URL of the database, like the URL where the database is residing, the server, because database basically also is a server, so it can reside anywhere. You can put it on the internet. You can it's, yeah, basically, yeah, you host it on the internet when you are deploying to production. Okay, or you can be running it this in the same local machine of your server where your server is deployed. Okay, so you need the host URL, you need the database name that you want to connect to. All right, you need database name, and you need the user, because to connect to a database you need a user account to authenticate you so that the database can authenticate your access. So you need the user account and you need the password of the user account. All right, so those are the four basic things that you need, and we're going to put them in the config. And also the app, we have its own config, its own configuration, like the port it's running on, and the environment it is running on. Okay, so this the config will have those information, those five. Then for this same user, we'll create from this same module, create the user module. Then also we create for post. English capital, um, plural, sorry. Then comments, right? Comment is the last one. Okay, right. So we have created them. Okay, so on this on still on that source, I'm going to create two. I'm going to create two files. Call this server. Oh, not here. This is where our server is going to be initialized. All right, this server.ts. Then also I'll create app.ts. This is where our Express is going to be initialized. Our Express framework is going to be initialized. So I'll show us the difference, right? So let's start with Express here, up here. So let's import Express. Import from Express. Initialize Express. Then here I've initialized Express, right? This is what I want to do. So here in this app.ts, I want to configure Express, configure it as I want, put all the configurations, which we're going to do. Later. But if you can see here, I am not starting, I'm not listening, like I've not started the server here. It's just a design structure I like using. Okay, and basically why I do that is for testing. Where you want to test your application, you see the usefulness when you do something like this, when you're running unit testing, integration test on the application. Okay, then here if I come here now on the server, okay, I'll do this. I'll import the app. Now here I can now do dot app dot listen. Then the ports maybe 5,000. Port 5,000. Then so hope you guys understand what I did here. All right, so I initialized Express here, but I didn't start the server, the Express server. I exported the app, then I imported it here and started the server, the Express server. This is how you start it. You use dot listen. So when you do dot listen, the app starts listening out ports at the port you supplied. All right, so any request that comes in, it serves. All right, so if I should run the script now. Let me stop this once here. Even stop the front end. So if I come to our packages, so let's put a script to start our server. If I do dev, development environment, mpx ts, yeah, what's the name of it? Yeah, ts node dev src server.ts. Okay, so guys, put your command this way: mpx space ts hyphen node hyphen dev space dash dash files. All right, then src server.ts. Okay, so this flag here is basically just what's it's just basically for this command, for this item here, for this ts node package that we're using to run our dev server. Okay, it's not something of express. So that's been done. I need to start now by running npm run dev. There's this command here. So if I click enter, our server is going to start and we'll see our console log server running at port 5000. Okay guys, so this is it, server running at port 5000. Okay, so now I this port here, I don't need to hard code port here. I need to create a config for my application, right? So to do that, I will come here and do this. Like I told you, this config file, this is one of the things we're going to put inside it. So I'll create a file here, app.config.ts. All right, .config is just a naming convention. .config.ts, I can just call it app.ts, right? So but I usually use app.config.ts. The middle notation there is just to let me know the kind of item I have inside. Okay, just something of choice. So I will create an object. I'll call it config. All right, we understand this, right? This is config. Then I'll do env. Env basically the environment the app is running. I want my app to run env dot. Okay, so this process.env is basically the I mentioned a file called .env, right? So this is what I will do first. Before I continue here, let me create the env. So I'll come to the root directory of my project. Like guys, the root directory of this project is not this sroc per se. No, it's not sroc folder. The root directory of your npm projects are usually where the package.json appears. Okay, please take note of this. The root of your project is usually where the package.json appears. Okay, if I move this package.json into this sroc folder, or if I create another folder and move this package.json into that folder automatically becomes the root directory of my npm project. All right, so there are why it is important is when you deploy to the cloud, when you want to deploy and you probably push to GitHub and you want to deploy, you've connected your GitHub to the, I don't think I'm still, wow, connection error. Okay, all right, let me continue. Okay, I don't think I have gone far. Okay, so this was where I was. I don't know. Did you guys see where when I started my server running on ports 5000?
No, I didn't see that.
You went off at about the time you were trying to create the server.ts file. That was when you went off.
Oh, really? Oh, that is
Yeah.
incredible. Okay, okay. Okay, so you understand this place, right? Where I created the app.ts, right? So I created the server.ts, all right? So I imported the app here, the app that I exported from here. From here, I imported it here. Then I started the server, the Express server. Okay. So after doing that, I came here to be able to start my application. I came here, I created a script for it, a dev script, and this is the command to start our server, right? You guys are familiar with this npx and ts node stuff, right? So I added hyphen hyphen
Sorry,
files.
can you do us a favor? Can
You
you do us
say?
a favor? Okay, so we're actually following you along. We're
Okay.
actually coding along, creating the folders, doing all of those things.
Yeah,
So can
yeah.
you copy those ones that we've missed actually in the chat? Just so we just copy it and then
Okay,
continue
yes,
from there.
yes. I think that should be this one. The server. This is server.ts. Server.ts. It is the content of server.ts, right? Then come into the config directory and create app.config. Okay, create app.config. I just started it. Let me app.config.ts. App.config.ts is the name of the file, right? Um, inside config, this is the contents, right? But I'm not yet done with the app. This config app.config.ts. Okay, so so before I continue the app.config.ts content, I want to create the .env I talked about where we store our
Sorry, the package
secret.
JSON content, we don't have it yet. The script from JSON. That mini line, that line you wrote to run the script.
Okay, okay, this one, let me send it. Just copy it and put. Okay, just copy it and put inside. I think it will be good to go. So
Okay, so what's the flag for that file supposed to do?
yes, it tells that ts node, that ts node dev package, that file that at the front is the file that is it should start from. No, should take the command from start running the command from that particular file. Do you understand? All right. So are we good to go, guys? Hello. Are we good to go? Okay. All right. Let's continue. So here I'm going to do a couple of things on this. Create a .env file. Create a .env file. I'm going to copy my configurations from here. Copy it here and put. So let me share now. Create it, then create the .env file. You can put these items there. Yeah, post them, and I'll explain to us what they are also for. All right. So if you have a look there, this is port equal to 5,000. So this is the port our application is going to be running on. Now I told you I don't want to hard code. I don't want to hard code this port here. Okay, so it's not proper to hard code your ports there. Then the node underscore env environment is development. It can be production. I can change this when I deploy to the cloud. All right, I will have to change it to production this way. All right. If it's a testing environment or staging environment, you can do this. All right. And why you are doing this thing is because you want to design some logic on the application that will run based on the environment that you're running the application. So maybe you want to you want to automatically run some tests when there's a deployment to the server. You want to run some tests. So and you want that test to run when this node underscore env is staging. Okay, so that's important here. So on your logic there, there's where your test logic you put, you put some check that if this the node environment is a staging environment or test environment or dev environment, you should execute this test. Otherwise, you shouldn't execute the test. So that's basically one of the reasons why we have things like this set up. And some cloud environments, some cloud providers, when you want to deploy, they also make use of this the development environment that you specify to do some things, probably some for logging, to log information errors to you to debug your application. So I'm going to change this back to um, development. All right, so guys, copy this. Now this, like I told you, this is the database configuration that we're going to be using, right? So when you want to connect to your database, you need the host. The host is the URL that your server is your database server is deployed to or is hosted. Okay, so we use localhost because our database is on, is on our system, is inside our laptop. All right, that's why I use localhost. Some of them is IP address. You get things like you get some IPs, something like this. All right, in fact, the where I work, the our system, or one of the project I worked on, this is um, we use the IP. This is not the IP. I didn't say this is not the IP, but we connect our system using IP addresses. All right, so
Sorry,
that's.
Christian, you did not copy the file that is the code that is in the app.cs file. You did not copy it in the chat. You did not paste it in the
I
chat,
think
sorry.
I've dropped it in the chats. Let me see.
No, not the app.cs. You did app.config, not app.cs.
No, no, app.config. No, no, there's no app.config. It's just app.config.cs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You did not do the app.cs.
App.ts. Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, this is it. Okay, the app.ts. Okay, what I did is server.ts. Okay, 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 app.ts. This is app.ts. Sorry. Okay, that's that. Okay, so that's the local hosts. The hosts, the host of database, right? Then the next one is the db underscore user, which I called blog user. You can give it any name that you want based on how you want it. All right, so I choose blog underscore user. Then db password, is your password, any password you want to use. All right, then you can just give it an, yeah, here I use password one. Then db name, I use my underscore blog. Okay, so that's it. Now here, if you can see access underscore secrets and refresh underscore secrets, they are the secrets I use to hash the token, access token I'll be sending to the front end to for authentication sake. Okay, you're going to see all these things in use. All right, so now yeah, I'm going to create the two config files here. I've created for app will be for this and this, and basically for these two. Yeah, no, okay, no, I'm going to use this three for app. Then this one will be for db config, right? So let's see how that works. So if I come back here, guys, hope we are following. If I come back here, I want to do for the ports, I want to create env, what do I call it? Okay, ports, capitulated ports. Then debug, this is just to to differentiate, to specify if I want my app to be logging anything on the um, on the cloud environment. So if I do this, so there's some things I need to do here. If I do the, I need to do something like this here. So basically what I'm saying is that if node environment is not defined, like it's not here, it's not defined here, it should, the value, the automatic value should be this, the default value should be development. Okay, same thing here. If the port is not defined in the env, the default value should be 5000. So we need to pass, convert, properly convert this thing into a number, type it into a number. Okay, so when we are done, we'll now export defaults. We understand the what export default means, right? It means when we are importing it, we're importing this file, the content of this file into another module. We just export it at once, one line import. It's not a named export, right? So when this is done, let's do for the database, right? Do database.
Christian, I was actually able to follow you along effectively until your network got off. Then I've been trying to catch up since. I'm just seeing red squiggly lines on my code basically. Trying to copy and paste some of these things that you already put there.
Okay,
So for instance, in the
okay,
config file, for instance, I'm getting process.env .node. So it's flagging the process basically with a red squiggly line.
okay.
It's
Um,
flagging it.
okay, no problem, no problem on that, because it's we actually supposed to give you do that to you. We need to do some specification, but don't worry. I think there's, hold on. Yeah, okay, do this. Come to your server, your app, sorry, your app.ts. Then do this import .env slash config. Do this, put this line at the top. So basically what this line is doing is that uh, we are initializing the app to be able to use this .env file here, this .env configuration file here. So basically that's what we are doing with this code here. So is
Can
your
I
app running?
can I see your server.ts?
You say?
Your server.ts, can I see it?
Okay, this is it. You can check.
Okay,
I think
because I imported my yes, I have it. So I imported my app from app.ts, but it's flagging that, and they actually at the same level, but it's flagging my app.ts and saying cannot find dot slash app.ts and dot slash app basically
did you export? Did you export this? Did you do this? Export default app.
from server. Eh?
No, from
Okay, from app.
app.ts. Yeah.
Yes, I did export default app.
Okay.
Can I do a screenshot and share it on WhatsApp group just so you see what I have there?
All right. All right. Do that.
Okay.
So guys, let's continue. So we want to create the config for database. All right. So that we'll be able to connect our app to the database when we are ready to do that. So first I will import MySQL because we want to connect to MySQL database. The package we installed from MySQL. Then don't forget something like this. Import it this way. This is the logic: import MySQL from MySQL 2 forward slash promise. Okay. Now I want to import it the type. So this pool is the type, right? We're going to see where we're going to use it. Okay. Take the .env. That's the .env config to the top. That should be the first line of code. Then
Okay.
share me the error message that it's showing you. Cannot find module or its corresponding type declaration. Okay. Did you install the typings? Did you install
Yes, I
the?
did actually.
Let me see your
So
package. Let me see your
for the
package.
typing, okay, let me switch my packages on.
Yeah. Sorry guys, if you face any challenge, please let me know. At the same time, sorry for. You still need some types now. Your typings is not complete. You just installed three type. The typings. Let me get. Copy this command and run. The typings are, it's just TypeScript that is complaining. All right, so you need to install those types so that it will start complaining. Okay, guys, let's continue. Then, if you do that, if it still persists, let me know. All right, guys. So now let's connect. Let's write the connection the connection code to be able to connect to our database. So if I'll do this um, pool of type pool, and I'll do MySQL dots create pool. Now, what this is doing is that when your app wants to communicate to the database, it creates a connection. Okay, it creates a connection to communicate using this. This is what helps your app to create the connection. So, like here now, I will export this code. Let me export it. So, anything in my logic, in my when I start, creating the services and the rest, when I want to query the database, I'm going to use this pool here, this variable that is exported. I'm going to import it into the code and use it to query my database. All right. So this is called pool, and what this does is that it creates a pool of connections, like multiple connections inside a pool, so that your app, whenever somebody user one sends a request to your application, your app will take one of the connection inside the pool and run that request. While it is doing executing that request, if another connection comes in, the app again take that connection, all right, takes any of the free connections that are still inside the pool, takes it and execute that connection. When they finish, they return the connection inside the pool. All right, so that's how MySQL manages this package manages the pool and connection for your application to use. All right, there's other way we can do this. We can use a create connection. What this does is that it just creates one connection. So anytime you want to run a query, it's anytime it want to execute or connect to the database, it creates the connection and use. It's anytime there's another request, it's when the request come, it creates the connection and use. But it's not this one is not ideal for when you want to create a production ready application. All right, it's we don't advise to you that you use it. So we advise to use connection pool, because this will create the pool of connections, so that there won't be that overhead cost of creating new connections anytime there's an incoming request. So the connections are already created, are already there waiting for requests to come in and use them to execute. Okay, that's why we're going to do this. So here in this method here takes an object, and the object properties are going to be defined as follows. So the host, like the host that the host of the database, the four things I mentioned that the database we need to connect to the database. So how are we going to get it? We're going to get it from the same thing we did, env dot db underscore host. Then the user process dot env dot db user. Then database, or let me put password, process.env dot. These things that I'm writing here is what we have here, right? Hope you know. Okay, put it here. Then the database that we want to connect to, dot env dot db name. We call it db name. All right. Now this is not all. We need to put some connection, some things configuration to make the database, to optimize the database connection. So here we said wait for connection, we say true, because we want the like for connections to be created, we need the connections to be created, so that we will be able to use them from the pool. Okay, so connection limits. Here you can specify a number here. All right, the connection limit is the like what's the maximum number this app, your this configuration should, maximum number of connections, sorry, what's the maximum number of connections this pool should create. Okay, if you put 20 here, if the connections in the pool exceed get to 20, they won't create more connections again. All right, it will stop. Okay, so if the app is using all that 20, all the 20 connections, all right, there maybe all the 20 connections are busy, and another request comes in, that request will have to wait, there will be delay. Or maybe you're trying to fetch the post on the page, and the app already have 20 connections. It can't pass more than 20, and you try to, you as a new user, you come in and you want to you go to the website and you try to fetch a post. The page you won't see a post, like it will be blank. You will know that something is loading, it's coming, but it will be blank, so there will be delay in that your request. You're not going to get the post immediately, because the server backend is busy, because there's no connection to connect to the database. All right, so this here, the value you put here, is very important. So if you are creating if you are building a backend system that needs many people are going to use, your connection here should be more. Some systems use 100, some use 500, depends on how they want to configure the backend system. Okay, so this one is max idle. Like, what's the number of connections that should be idle before you create new connections? All right, idle timeout. You can just put in seconds, like number of the like if a connection is idle, like it's not being used, the number of the seconds you should wait before it gets gets destroyed, gets destroyed, let me call it destroyed, before you can create new ones. Okay, queue limit, I'll put this as 0. Queue limit
Um,
is hello.
I'm Christian. Christian, why are you working? So I want to really understand the concept of this creating pool. So if,
Yeah,
for instance, in my authentication system, for instance, maybe I have about 1 million users using my platform,
yeah,
and then out of those 1 million, maybe I have about 200,000 trying to log in at the same time.
yeah.
So what's the relationship? Because of all those 200,000, it's going to seem as though maybe they are trying to access the same DB at the same time. So how does that relate to the issue of creating a pool and then versus the connection limits in that case?
Okay,
So
yeah. So you say you have 100, how many 100,000, 500,000? Hello. Hello. Oh, sorry, I can't hear you. So basically, the connection between this and your number of users that you have is that um, now this your backend system. When you deploy back your backend to a server, right?
sorry, I lost you for a while, Kingsley. Christian, I lost you for a while, please.
All right, all right. So I was asking. You said you have a number of like 500,000, right?
1 million users, then I have 200,000 trying to log in at the same
Act
time.
Yeah, yes, 200,000. Okay. So what it does is that, okay, um, when you deploy your server to the cloud environment, there are some systems that you create multiple instances of your server, of your backend server. Okay, like when we deploy, there's something called PM2. PM2 is a package, manager, is a package, no, is a package project that you can use to start your node project. So instead of, when you deploy to the server, all right, instead of doing node server .js, all right, instead of doing this, you use PM2. PM2 will use Node to start this your server for you, but it will help you to do some optimization. So what one of the optimization is that it's going to create multiple instances of your backend system, depending on your CPU capability of that your cloud environment that you are hosting on, right? So when that is done, it means that everything you have here will be double. Okay, it means that you have two of your servers that are serving requests, serving people. Okay, so if I defined connection 200 here, it means that if since there are two instances of my server that are running, it means that 2 times 200 is now what, 400. Okay, now since there are 200,000 people that are trying to log in, it means that my application is I have multiple, I have users. So my connection limit here, what I will do is I will run like 4 instances of my application, for example, 4 instances, right? Then I will do 500 here. The other one I will do 500. The other one I will do 500. The other one I will do, like, I'll just do 500. So 500 times 5 times 4, sorry, 500 times 4 will be 200. Okay, now your database is going to be heavily accessed when that is being done. Your database is not going to be single database. You can have also multiple instances of your database. All right, like here you will have localhost 1. The other one you might have localhost 2, and the rest. So when you do that, you can now separate. Sorry, I don't know if you are following what I'm explaining. So here, sorry, you can do,
Yes, I'm with you. I'm listening.
yeah, you can do 500 here. And what that we do is that it doesn't necessarily mean that all every like issues that we use one connection also. Okay, when you have done something like this, it means that there are a lot of connections. All right. So when um, the number of users are trying to log in at the same time, what the server will do is that some of them we hold the connection, we use the ones we log in immediately and return, then takes the one that is remaining. So what that does is that there's no mathematical correlation for that, but to optimize your system you need to increase your connection limit so that when your requests are coming in it will serve the users immediately. I don't know if that makes sense. So for large volume of user like that, you increase your connection limits, bearing in mind that your server also has its own max connection. I'm going to show us something like that. It's the server, this database that we have here. It has a let me see if I can. Okay, this is not a okay. I think I will look for a way to show us that it has a maximum connection that you can't connect like more than that. You can't give this. You can't connect give to this server. That connection must not exceed. Your connections must not exceed that number. All right. If you exceed that number, it's going to tell you that okay, you have exceeded your connection. All right. So basically, that's the connection there. So guys, let's move on. Let's move on. So our server is now running. Okay. So our DB. Um, let me create. Let me call this test DB instead. Okay, if I come to my server here now. Okay,
Listen, I want to get the DB config in the chat.
okay. Let me send it config. You can use any values that you want. I will tell you when to like what kind of values to use when you want to start creating your database. Okay, so we are through with this. So let's create a handler, a simple handler here. Do app dot use. You know,
Christian, I meant the DB config, not the env.
now the DB config.
Yes, we don't have it in the
Okay,
chat.
sorry. Okay, so let's import the request and response. Then this will be request and this will be response. So when we want to create an endpoint for health, So guys, so now I've created an endpoint here. I created actually a middleware, because when you do app.use, you're actually giving it a middleware. So the middleware that I'm creating, I'm specifying a URL for it. Okay, so anything that comes to health/health, I want to serve something like this. All right. So basically, what this is doing is that when you create your application, your server, you need to give it a particular endpoint that where you call, if you want to check if your server is running or not. You when you call that endpoint, the endpoint doesn't do anything. What it does is just to reply you. It reply the message, any message you give it to replies to check if your server is running. So I defined health, and I gave it this thing to this response to give me okay true environment development. But basically, I'm going to remove this here. I want to use the env here as the value is going to return to me. So I will do import app config from config.app. So with this, I'll come here, do this. So now let me start my server and check the health. Checking the health means to know if it is running or not. So our let's see, our app is running. And why you
Sorry,
need to,
I want to ask Christian,
yeah,
what's the difference between doing for the environment, doing process.env.node environment and doing app.config.environment? What's the difference?
come again, you say?
I said, what's the difference between for the environment value now on line
Yeah,
10? What's the difference between doing process.env.node.env and
okay.
doing app.env? What's the difference?
Okay, this is basically to organize your project. You know, you don't want to be littering process.env everywhere. Okay, and
Mhm.
basically it's also that if you want to rename this thing to anything, yeah, all right, if you come here and rename it, it doesn't mean that you go all around your code to rename it to something. Maybe you want to do you want to remove env, you just want to remove node, or you want to remove node and put env only. All right, process.env.env, for example. Okay, so you just rename it one place and it will take effect anywhere you've used app.config.env. Okay, basically it's just to organize your code. It doesn't it's not it doesn't technically, it doesn't is they are the same thing. Okay, so I'm giving you guys the basic code structure. So our server is running. Let's open postman and test this endpoint and see the kind of response we're going to get. Okay, so I'm going to create, let me create a new collection. Oh, hold on, let me use, let me use the new my accounts, personal accounts. Oh god, I really need us to go far on this. We have some other items to discuss. We're going to talk about, okay, okay, let's use this node server here. Okay, so guys, hope you are familiar on how to use postman. If you have issues on how to use postman, you can let me know. So this is a collection. Okay, this is a postman. I just logged into an account. All right, so since I've logged into an account, I created this collections are already created. But to create a collection is group. Like if you have a project, if you're working on a project, it's good you create a collection for that your backend project. Okay, so when you create collection for your backend for that project, everything about the project will be in that collection. All the endpoints for the different modules, you put them inside the collection and the rest to help you to organize your project. If you have a project you're working on and you have different projects that you're working on, when you separate them into collections, it will help you in organizing how you work. Okay, so to create a collection, when you've logged in, you just come here, click new, all these options to open. This is collection here. You create it. When you click it, you give it a name. I named my own note server. It's very straightforward. So after creating it, you are good to go. Then you can create folder into inside the note server. All right, the your collection. Here, you can create for the different modules that you're working on of your project. All right, for different modules of a project, you can create folders for them. All right, so here I didn't create a folder for health because it's just simple. So here I'm going to do something here. Then I'm going to do localhost http localhost is for port 5000, right? Then health. Okay, this is the URL. My server is running at localhost port 5000, then slash health. This slash health is what I have here. This slash health. Then if I click it, let's see the message is going to return. As you can see, this is it. Okay, is true. Environment is development. All right, that's what I asked. I configured here. This is the response.json. All right. So when this is done, means that my server is running okay. All right. So here I can create the modules for all different folders for my modules. Here there's user already. Here I can create another folder, add folder. I can create for authentication. Okay. If I come here, call it auth. Okay. Then I create another folder. I call it post. Then another one also, we'll call it comment. All right, so then I can start, as you can see, you can start adding requests, but we'll wait for that. Let me rename this. Let me rename this into blog demo. All right, guys. So let's continue. So now there's something I need to do here. If you see, I typed localhost port 5000. I don't in any request I want to add, I will need to be typing this. So I don't want to be doing that. I don't want to be doing that often. So I will copy out this. All right. I will come to this my collection here. If I click it, if you click your connection, this will go to open. Then when this opens, okay, still opening. So when this you come to this place called you see variables. So in these variables, you come here, you can put, yeah, you can put any variable name you want to use. Then you put the value, corresponding value. Why this is so is that when you are creating requests, instead of typing this long thing here, you will just type base URL, and it will be, to make it easier for you. Okay, so let's continue, guys. So let's connect to our database first. Since we have created the config, let's create the connections for our database. Like go to our database, create a user, create the password and the database name. Okay, I want us to see how we're able to experiment live. So to do that, so first things first, I'll create a user. I'll create a new database. I'm not going to use this one. I'll create a new database. And how do you create? Oh, I think I need to explain database to us before I'll do this. Okay, let's leave the database system now, because I want to explain a MySQL query to us. So let's continue with the app coding. I hope I'm not confusing us, guys. Hello, guys. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Hope you are following through. Or am I too fast or not flowing properly?
You're following.
Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. So let's start with user module now. We're going to create logics to create user. All right. To create user, to fetch users, and to fetch a single user. All right, and to update a user, just like the crude flow that we discuss when we are creating our node and everything. So we're going to create things like that. So basically in this user module I'm going to create four folders, or no, five folders. All right, I'm going to create what we call controllers. Okay, please create with me as I'm creating. I'm going to create it for all the modules. Then I will create services. All right, we're going to see the code that are going to be in these folders. The other one will be DTOs. I'll explain to us what they actually are. This is how I like to structure my project. Then the other one will be routes. Then the final one will be entities. Okay, so here let's come to controller. Oh no, let's start with route. Sorry. So I'll create a file called user.routes.ts. Okay, so in this is what I'm going to do. I'll import router from Express. Then I'll initialize router. So why we are doing this? What this router does is that it helps you to organize the routings in your Express project. Okay, so here now I'm going to create routes, the logic for routes that are pertaining to users. All right, so basically that's what that's the basic of doing this thing here. So since I've initialized, let me export defaults. So with this, in between here now I can define my routings. Okay, so now router dot get, I want to define um, route to get users. Okay, let me just say me, put me here, then I'll just define let me just call it this. So now how do we use this? So since I've defined this, now this is a get. I defined that this route will be a get route. All right, a get request. So this is what I will do next. Now come down here. Inside the sroc, sorry, inside this sroc, I will create another folder called routes. Please don't get confused. So basically inside, no, Basically, inside SRC, we have basically three folders now. We have config, modules, and routes. Okay, I just created this routes. So here, what am I going to do inside this route? This is what I want to do. I'll do this v1.routes.ts. Okay, why did I do that? Because I want to partition. I'm teaching you how to like partition your project. Like when you are working with a company, they may tell you that okay, we want to be just version one of this backend. Maybe later we'll do version two. Okay, so as a backend developer, you need to keep tab of something like that. So when you are building your application, you need to version it. Put it in a way that when you come, it's okay. This one is version one, then the next one is version two, and you know how to segregate and even complement the code as they are. Okay, so that's why I am creating this v1 route, and I'll show you the content there so that you understand it better. So now, sorry, is there anything? Yes, yes, you get the GitHub. You get the GitHub. Of course, you have the GitHub. So now this is what I need. This is what I need. This is what I'm going to do now. I'll import router again, just like
Sorry, can we get the code for the user in the chat? The user route.
the user route. Yeah. Guys, can we take a breather for like 15 minutes? Then we'll come back. Okay.
Okay.
Just 15 minutes. This is 3 o'clock. 3:15. We'll be back. I think. Wow, time is fast spent too. Okay. So 15 minutes. Let's come back and report and finish up recording. So guys, can we continue where we stopped? Okay. So so I left off here where I created the additional folder inside SRC folder. The folder is called routes, and I created a file v1.route.ts. Okay, so this is it. This is the file here. So let's input. So this why I created this file is that I will like here now, like on this here on this users module. I created this users module has a route folder also, and I created a route configuration for it. Okay, so I would also do the same routing. I'll also do the same thing for all the modules. I'll create routes for auth, for comments, posts. I'll create routes for them separately. Then here I will here, this is where I will combine everything and serve it to the application, to the app. Right, so just don't worry, we're going to see how everything will turn out to be. So here I have imported a router. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do the same thing I did in the users route. I'll create a router object. Now this is what I'll do. I'll do router.use. Okay, here you see, if you can see in this one, in this users route, I did after creating or after initializing the router object, I did route.get. Okay, because I am defining the various requests endpoint requests to handle. Okay, but here on this outer routes or main routes, I just did use here, router.use. So basically what I'm trying to do is that after I've imported and initialized the router, I want to import the routes from all the other modules. Okay, so when I import all the route from all the other modules, I'll now combine them here and serve them to the server. So first thing I've created for user, I've created route for user, so I'm going to import it here. I'll do import user routes from not from. I'll do let me look for the directory. Okay, yeah, going to modules, users, routes, user routes. So this is it. This router that I exported from the user, right? This router that I exported from the user here, from the user, I am importing it here. Then I'll serve it here now. I will do forward slash. Don't forget you begin with forward slash v1 slash users. Then what do I do next? I will now add this to it. So guys, hope you understand. So I'm doing router.use, then I supply this route. So it means that any endpoint, any request that comes towards this route, to this route, will be handled by this router object here. Okay, this user route object. Okay, so now let's come to this app.ts. Let's bring it to this app now. All right, we are compiling everything together. Now after compiling, we need to bring it to the app. All right, for the app to use. Okay, so here I'll do export. Sorry. Now I want to export it so that the user route, the app can use it. I'll export router as we did in the user route. Then I'll come to the app. Okay. All right. So I will import. I'll import the routes now. I'll call it all v1 routes, or let me call it all routes v1. Import from routes. Okay, so this is it. So in the future, so basically what we are doing here is that in the future, if I want to create v2, want to version go to v2, I can easily, what I'll do here after creating all the modules for the v2, I'll come here, create a new v2.route.ts here in this folder, and after creating it, I'll come here, import it here. I may call it all routes v2, then import it from the v2 file. After importing it, then I can now use it in this app. All right, so this is how I'll use it. Just call app.use and I'll do API, then that is it. And I'll call the all route v1. Okay, so if I have all route v2, I will just create another one and call it all route v2. Okay, that's how you version your application, your APIs. So this is it now. If I let's test this single endpoint that I created. So how does this endpoint, what was the relation, like how does it flow? Okay, if you look here, we started with app use here, and it is slash API. So we'll look for, start with slash API, right? Now then we'll go into this one, this all route v1. Then when you come to all route v1, we'll see view slash v1 slash users. So if we come here, slash v1, that's slash v1 slash users. So this is how our app, our endpoint interprets to. Okay, this one will come first, then after this one you go into the app itself. Anything you see, you now append it, right? Now attach it to whatever you have before, so it will give you, this one will give us the complete route. Then the localhost port 5000 is what we will now have here. Localhost port 5000 will now be our, what we call this one is base URL. This localhost port 5000 is base URL. All right, what it basically means is that it's the value is determined by where you host your server. Okay, the URL, the domain name of your server. So you can host it anywhere. You can host it on render and any place on AWS. You can host it anywhere. You can configure any domain to it. All right, you can do it. It doesn't affect the app. What is constant is this part slash API slash v1 slash users. That's what is constant. So let's go back to, let's access our Postman. Let's go to Postman and test that endpoint. So what did we say is going to happen when we call it? We're going to, when we call that endpoint, we're going to see something like this. All right, we're going to get that response. So if I come to Postman, okay, this is the base URL. The base URL. If I come to user, get, let me delete this once here first, because delete this one. I'll leave that one. Okay, so here, so like as you can see, base URL. I don't need to type localhost port 5000. All right, I just use a double curly brackets in between the, put but double curly brackets side by side with the words, and it's actually imports the value for us. Then I'll just do forward slash API forward slash v1 forward slash users. Okay, if I save it now, the method is get method here. Here it is where you change your method. You can do post, you can do put, you can do patch, delete, and the rest. All right, so the method is get URL, because if you look at our code here, the method I define, this router.get is what we define. We can define router.post. In fact, let me just do something on that. Okay, if I just do post me, let me just put a function there. Request response, and do something like response JSON. Let's put message, define the object. Hello post. I don't know if our server is still running. Okay, so now let's see the response we'll get if I call the server now. Okay, still starting. It has not started. You see that console log, server running at port 5000. That's when we'll know it's running. All right, so it's now running. So let's connect. Let's call the endpoint. Cannot get users. Let's see why. Okay, me, sorry, forgot to add me here. So if we call it, yeah, see the response, user, so basically this is the URL part gets, and we are getting this response here. we're getting this response. If I do, let me do for the post request. Guys, if this whole flow is confusing you, let me know. I can just try more to explain better.
I think the flow is fine, but for some reason I just seem to be getting 403 for bidding. So I'm trying to see what
Four
exactly
zero
MME.
what?
403 for bidding.
Forbidden.
Yes, on Postman.
Really?
Yeah, so I was trying to do get users basically. So
Okay.
I think get users supposed to be HTTP localhost 5000 API slash v1 slash users slash me.
Yes.
So, but for some reasons, I'm getting 403 for bidding.
Okay. This slash me, I will remove it actually. I just put it there for just to
Testing sake,
demonstrate.
right?
Hmm? Yeah, for
For
testing.
testing purposes. Right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to test with it also.
Okay. You can share a screenshot, or if you want to share your screen, I can have a proper look. But
Okay.
you're not authenticating the URL. Do you have another server running in your system? Maybe
On 5000,
yeah.
no, I don't have anything running on 5000.
Okay.
LS of I 5000. I don't have anything running on 5000.
Okay. If I let me check. All right. Let's test this particular one. Let's if I do base URL, same thing API v1 users. Then I will now add this post hyphen me. All right. If I do that post hyphen me, if I send no API v1 users. I think I defined it as post user users. I wrote user, sorry about that. So if I call it again, all right, our response hello post. So basically guys, this is the underlining basic structure of our project. All right, this is the basic. Now everything we're going to be working on now will be built on this. Now how do I mean? All right, on this router here, basically you know that this is not the logic we're going to be building. We're going to build our controllers. Our controllers is what we're going to append, put in this router. We're going to create controllers and import them into this router, right? Inside this router configurations. Now on our controller, in the controller, when we create the controller, we're going to create services that we are going to use inside the controller. I don't know if you're getting the flow. We are going to create services that we're going to use inside the controller. So services will be used inside this controller, right? Now these services now we have no, at the same time these DTOs will also be used in the controller. Likewise, DTOs also sometimes may be used in the services, but they will definitely be used in the controller, right? Now the entities will now also be used in the controller, in the services, sorry. So the mapping is this way. Let me the routes, you see the routes, then we'll see the route is going to use the controllers, then controller is going to use the services, and DTO. Controller will use services and DTOs. Then services we use entities. So as you can see, all these subfolders here inside the modules, the controllers, details, entities, routes, and the rest, they are all mentioned here. So this is how I structured my project to use them. So this is how the workflow is going to be. So in this router here, I'm going to create controllers that we're going to import into these routers. Then from there we'll kick it off. We'll take it off from there. All right. So let me continue. What do we do next? Let's create a controller, a simple controller for the user. So
Sorry, can you paste that flow in the chat again? The flow that you
okay,
normally use from route controller services to entities.
this one I did here.
Yes, yes. So we've seen routes, but you've not touched the other aspects. Maybe with explaining it, say like controller, details, entities, those other ones.
For the modules, for the other modules.
Um, like the other things. So you've explained route now by maybe illustrating it, but
Yeah.
for controller services, details,
Yes,
and
yes,
entities,
no
right?
problem. Everything we will do everything now. I'm moving into controller. So these things
Okay.
I wrote here. I'm going to remove them and replace them with controller. So that is the next thing we want to do now. So let's create. mm, should I use? Okay, let's come to controller. Come to your users. Under users, come to controllers. Let's create a file called user.controller.ts. Right. Like you guys know, our project is class based. All right. Here I used I didn't create a class for the routes. Okay. But for the controller and service, they are going to be class based. So here I'll create a class named exports. So I'll call it user controller. Our controller is going to have a router property that we're going to initialize as routes. All right, already. I will create a controller for it. I mean a constructor, sorry. Then create a user service like I told you. Let me first leave. Let me first leave it, yeah, this way. Let's create a method to get user, yeah. So we're going to do request of type response of type next function. So guys, you understand why I told you when I was explaining ExpressJS to us, I told us that um, when you see in ExpressJS, when you see a function with basically three parameters, they are basically middlewares. They are basically middlewares, right? So in this, most of the methods that are in our controllers are going to be middlewares because they are going to be request handlers. Okay, requests, they are going to be handling requests. Middlewares has to do with requests. They come in between requests. When the request is coming into your Express backend API, it has to go through the middlewares, or even the middleware will be maybe the final handler will be the one to handle the that particular request that is coming in. Okay, so here we've defined a get user handler. Let's just create, do a try and cache here. Basically, I'm not doing anything much, so let me just do this. Rest status. Okay. I want to give it a status of then. So if there's an error, I'll console log the error if I want to. Then I will call next because I will have a error handler. Okay. So now I have implemented this method. Let me implement another method here. Get profile.
So why are you passing the error into the nest? What does that do?
Okay, I plan to. Okay, what it does is that it's when there's an error, it's pass the request to the next to another. It just sends away, pass it to the next anything that is next to handle it. All right. Okay, this is what it does here. This is the route here. It passes down here, like in the logic. It passes to anything. There's something I'm going to define an error handler here. It passes what it does is that request will be passed down here because this express what express does is that when you are applying middleware this way. No, these are middleware app.use. Any app.use, you are applying middleware. So when this middleware, their flow is that the first one will go, next one will go, then the next one will go. So when request comes here, it goes through the next. If you see here now in this health URL, I didn't call next. So what it means is that when any if a request comes through into this health endpoint, it just REST responds to it. It doesn't send it. I didn't call next. All right, REST handles the request. Just send it back. All right. So this is a terminating. I'll call it a terminating endpoint. It just comes here and request will be sent back. All right. Here also there are logic that we handle that will send back request response immediately on this router here. But now that I've added nest here, like if there's an error, you should go to the nest middleware. So if it encounters something like this, encounters next, what it means is that it is going to come down here, come to the next middleware. All right, it's going to come to the next middleware. So we're going to I'm going to put do something here that is going to, in fact, let me just write a logic here. Here we call it any. All right, so when it comes here, it's going to be handled. Don't worry, we'll see everything in demonstration as we go on. Right, so let's continue. So the reason why I send message is because I'm going to have a, at the end, I'm going to have an error handler that's going to handle all, that's going to handle every the error for me. Okay, so that being said, let me continue with the function. Guys, please give me a minute. Let me change over to my solar so that it just took less. Isn't there? Isn't there? Don't make noise. Don't make noise. All right, guys, I'm back. Okay, you can still see my screen, right?
It's multiple times.
You say?
Oh, I can see. Okay, yeah, we can see your screen now.
All right, so status. These are you set status. If your status is okay, give the message. Get profile. Okay, so guys, this is it. Let me take this controller. Like I told you guys, controllers are linked, are used in the router, right? So let me take this user controller now and bring it into this router and use it so that we'll understand how the flow is. So to do that, let's import the controller. We're going to do user is a name. Okay, I'll import it automatically. Yeah, auto import. So now remove. I'm going to remove my code, the middleware I supplied before. So now this is the class. I've imported the class. I need to initialize it. All right. I need to instantiate it. I need to instantiate the controller user controller class. To do that, I'll just define user controller this way and give it new this. So I've instantiated this class. All right. So since I've done that, I will now come here dots. Then I'll put the profile the method I want to apply here. You understand? So head of this method here, I'll put anyone here. Right? So I've done this. Then let me do for the other one. I don't necessarily. Let me just do puts here. Make this different requests, the same endpoint, but then user controller dot. Let me do. Okay, guys, this so let's test it. All right, let's test these two endpoints. So let's call it get. So if we come to our postman, gets, let me rename this one to gets user, just single. Yeah, I'll call this one change it to post to get, then I'll call it,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Christian. I was going to ask, right?
yeah.
Um, what is the advantage of using a controller normally over just writing the routes directly? Because we did
There's
router.get,
the
and then we're not
no
trying to convert.
no the advantage here, in fact, basically there's no technical advantage. It's all about structure, like designing is everything is just design decision. Yeah, the way I structure this project is just design decision. How I You can design it anywhere. You can decide not to use class. You can decide not to do a controller service, whatever. You can just define your functions and create the normal express routing everything. You get.
So controllers can also be designed using functional components as well.
Exactly. In fact, it is basically a function that I'm calling here. It's just that I group them into a class and define them as methods. Basically, they are just I can create just the way I did it now. I removed, I had to remove the functional component I defined here and import this. You understand, right? So it was a function, an arrow function that I defined here. So I had to remove it and import this class
Okay, so
controller method.
if I got that right, if it was going to be a functional component, I will just probably create the controller inside the user controllers.ts, and then I will now import in get profile, get user, all of those stuff.
Yes. You
And
can just define it, so it can like you can convert everything. You can convert like remove the class, convert everything to normal function, right? Like define everything as normal function here. Okay, let me demonstrate that now. Let me just do this. Okay, this now. Okay, this is a function on its own. It's not part of the class. So I can import this now. This get user now. I can here. No, let me comment out this. You see, I've imported the class I created, right? I've imported it. This class I created in
oh yeah, yeah.
this class. Yes, I've imported it here. All right. So now it's what I'm using here, right? So if I call
So okay,
if I test it now, let me test it so you get it. This is the one it's going to serve. This endpoint, okay, user ID. This one is going to serve. Let me just put something here. If I call it, see, gets user A, right? That's the. If I let me give it another content.
so why do you prefer the structure of using a class-based component instead? Is there an advantage?
It's just to help me organize my the code. Like I just love this structure. I just like using the class this thing because um if you intend to go into other program other what will I call it, yeah, try to use other technologies like Spring Boot, like .NET. Spring Boot is Java. .NET also is a C plus C sharp.
Yeah.
You Everything is going to be class based, so I'm using that logic now. And so as you can see, this function handler, So it's basically this function that's been serving. All right. So it works straight out, straight up. Nothing. No. There's no technical betterment. It's just structure. So as I was saying, when you go into like Spring Boot, Java Spring Boot, you meet this kind of structure where everything is class and the rest. Even Nest.js that we're going to be looking at, right? Nest.js is class based.
Yeah.
Yes, everything is class. Then they use their decorator. Everything is mostly is decorated. So why I brought this method is that I when I look at some advanced projects that some advanced Node.js projects, they mostly do their structure class based and the rest because most some of them are coming from Java and the rest. So older legacy programming languages. So some developers are coming from there, and they like to structure their code with what they already know. So basically, most of them structure their Express project this way, and Express is unopinionated. Sorry, let me not bite my tongue. What it means is that you can structure it anywhere, anyhow. That's the advantage of Express. It's a library. It's not a framework. It's a library. You just install it and structure it anyhow you want, and tune it anyhow. You are free. But unlike Nest.js is no, you can't do it, and you have to follow their structure, right? So that's it. Next, ExpressJS, I decided to do this so that why I'm doing this is that so that when we go into Next.js, it will be familiar. It won't be strange to us. Using use of class and the using of class to define the routes and the rest won't be new to us. That's why we can. That's why I brought this structure to us, and it looks advanced to me. Like I like it, right? So that being said, so let me go back to our structure. So I have defined these two controllers. All right. So as you know, we are not actually trying to. This is not the logic we want to use in. So this is the controller. So this is the controller. Let's see what we can add to this now. We have defined the controller. Let's look at the service. Um, let's just leave it here. Should I go into create service? It's almost 4 o'clock. So guys, sorry, let's pause for a minute. I want to there's something I want us to discuss now. I this is it. You know, the code we are what I'm doing now. I don't know how long if we'll be able to cover the code base by tomorrow because I want us to finish finish if not everything, like cover like at least 70% of the code structure, right? So I have discussed controller. We have introduced route controller to us. The next thing I want to introduce is service. Because of time, this is already 4. um, I'm looking at how we're going to do it, how you guys are going to learn better. Is it that I write the code, then when we come I'll just be explaining, giving the explanation, then you can just copy or whatever,
Okay,
then
sorry, I was going to ask.
yeah,
Um, apart from, because you said at the start of this class that what we're going to cover for this week is going to be the blog project,
yeah,
right? So, and then for the blog project, what you're going to teach us basically is for us to do the controller, the details, the entities, router, and
yeah,
services basically. And then we're going to repeat the same pattern
yeah,
across the
the other
four
modules,
core aspects: user, post, comment, and auth, right?
yes, yes,
But so I feel the way you're teaching us now makes us understand it better. So once we're done with maybe you've we're done with creating these things under user, Then I think when it comes to the other ones, it's going to be way faster. You're going to be running way faster because it's going to
Okay.
be a repetition of it, basically.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. It depends on. I think you might have something else that you want to do right now. If not, would not mind you finishing the other ones basically.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. I hear you. That's great. That's great. Okay. Let me just let's discuss the service. Then. Okay. I'll create. Come to the service here because we need to use the service inside the controller. All right. This logic here we have in the controller is not basically what we want to implement in our business in our block, right? So the service is what is going to interact with the database and any other item service that we need. So create user.service.ts. All right. Then now we create a class and export. All right. So we're going to have our service is what is going to connect to the database, right? So let's import a type, a pool type from our database. Our database package manager. So now I'm going to create like okay. Let me start with this. Now we're going to create a method to create a user data. I'll do any for now. The type is any. You can pass it any data. Then the return type for this method is going to be a promise. I call it any. Now promise of any. Promise because it's async. So whatever is going to return is going to be a promise. So now let me just console log whatever will pass it data. Then we'll return whatever we pass it. Okay. Then the next one gets user by ID. ID is going to be a number. I'm going to use a number. Then the return type call it any. Something is running. OJ, are you here?
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Something is definitely running on your uh on this port 5000. Have you checked your ports?
Okay. Let me run a command to list it, and then if there's anything, I'll kill it and do it again.
All right, all right. Because this is forbidden. It means it's a protected route, and we are not protecting anything here. Or did you set any status? Probably you can share your code for the controller. Let me see your code
Okay.
for the controller on the routes. Let me see. So here, let me just console log the ID then return the ID. So these are the services. All right. How do we use this service now? Okay, no, remaining one. Let me just create another one, because the users we are going to be creating going to use email. We need to also actually we've not defined anything. I'm just creating skeleton structures here, skeletal structure, so that we'll be able to have a proper understanding. Let me just create this one also. Updates user. Update user is going to take ID, the ID of the user we want to update. Then we're going to take the data that we want to update the user to, the new data that we want to update to. So basically I'll just console log these items that are so guys, then I'll return the data. Now we need to now, this service is what is going to interact with our database, right? Service is what is going to interact with our database. So let's bring in a configuration. Let's bring in something that represents our database. Now I'm going to create a structure, a constructor, sorry, if I can speak well. I'm going to do private pool of type pool, right? So our class, now you see this, the definition I did here, this private pool here, automatically what this does is that it's same thing as doing this, doing something like private pool here, then the initializing, doing sorry, this dot pool equal to pool, right? These three things that I typed here, this definition here, and initialization here, these three things, this one and this one and this one and this one here, right? These three items that I typed here, I can summarize everything into the same thing as when I just remove everything. Let me remove everything, come here and type private, right? If now what it does is that when you put when you define when you add the access modifier to the in the parameter of your constructor, it automatically creates that parameter on the that parameter. It creates it as a member of the class and initialize it automatically. So basically I don't need to do private equal to this dot private equal to whatever. All right, so we are good to go here. um so we now have access, basically not really access, yeah, let's say, yeah, we have we can now
Sorry, take
receive.
that again, Christian. Sorry, can you take that again?
Take which of the
When,
statements?
um, when we have like public, so if I don't have public, doing this dot the data or the variable. But in the case of private, it's just going to be, there is no need to within that constructor to do
Yes,
anything
yes,
further.
you don't need to initialize it, right? It can be
Okay.
public, you can make it public. You know, I we discussed the access modifier when we were discussing class in TypeScript, right? Private, public, and protected, right? So when you add here, I don't need to when you are I can remove this from here, it will work. But what it means is that I actually want to create a member of a pool property here. of type pool here. So when I do that, I will just come here. This is the verbose way of doing this, right? This is the normal way. I can, yeah, can put the access modifier here. This is the normal way, right? So but if I bring this, if I bring the access modifier here, right, I don't need to, you see, when I did that, it's complaining. It says property pool is declared but its value never duplicate identifier pool, right? So it's saying that I already defined it here. Now I'm trying to define it here again. Okay, so I need to remove this and this, then it will be fine. I can now access it anywhere, right? So this is about that. Then let's import this service into our controller and see how we can use it, right? Okay, so now import user service, yeah, named imports. Now this is, now if I come here and do the same thing I did with pool in user, if I do user service, right, and I put the type in here, automatically I now have user access here, user service access. So let's see what we can do with that now. So if I come here, get user, get profile, is that what I want? Which method will I serve for them? Let me see the method. Okay, get by ID, get, let me see, get user. Okay, so if I come here, I can do user user service here, get user by ID, right? Let's get the user from params. Okay, let's do it this way. Now user service is going to take user get user by ID is going to take user ID, and we're going to type it to number, so that it will become a number. So when that is done, we're going to return the user we just got. So guys, this is it. Can you see my screen? Can you all see my screen? Can you all see my screen? Right. So this is it. In my controller, I have imported my user service. Right. I am now using it here. Right. But there will be a problem. Now, as you can see here, my route is giving me red lights. It's telling me that something is wrong. So what it's saying now is that controller now needs something in its control. User controller now needs something in its constructor to be able to initialize properly. And what is that? If you check here, we are passing in user service, all right, to the controller. So what we need to do to solve that problem is that we're going to import this user service here. Import it here. We're going to initialize it, create an instance of it, instantiate it, I mean. Then the instance, you're going to pass it to the constructor, just like as we define here. This we gave it a user service here. So when we are creating it, we're going to give it the user service. Now our user service class is now complaining also. Is now complaining, telling me it needs something that I need it. I defined it to initialize with. And what is that? If you come here, this is we are in the user service now. If you check the constructor, we gave it pool. That means we gave it the database connection that it's going to use. We are going to use database connection to to interact with the database in the service user service. So we need to import the database configuration and give it to the service here, right? So thankfully we already have the database
Sorry,
configuration
can,
here
can we have the code from the user service
from the user
in
service.
the chat? Yes, in the chat.
Okay, all right, all right. Okay, that's the user side. Although I'm still going to update it. Just copy it fast. Still, these are just drafts I kept there. So now let me import the database. Okay, let me call it. What will I call it? Let me see. Call it pool. It's actually the pool from. Going to the config. Okay, here database config. Good. We are here now. Then we'll now pass it to the user service. So user service is now happy, right? So let's do a small test. Let's test this get user because yeah, let's test it. So now we're going to pass it a parameter, right? This is how you define parameters in your in Express, right? So you put colon, then you give it a name, colon and a name here. This here is different from this here. If I this is a specific param, this slash me, right? It means that the endpoint I'll be to access this will contain me, like me word directly, all right, to access this particular endpoint. But this one it means that I just need to, if I pass in anything here, I'll access it, right? So that's for this. So anything I pass here, I'll be able to access it from here. So let's test it. Let's test this particular endpoint, or probably test the two also. So if I come to our postman, the this one is get user here. This particular get user is this is it. This is the one we're going to access. So if I call the endpoint now, let's go. Error. Oh, we got an error. We got an error. Yes, yes, yes. This is the error we got now. You see, this is one thing about class and objects and binding. All right. Um, you see, in our controller here, in our controller, we, for example, this endpoint I called. Let's check the method. We did something like this dot user service. Then the method we called, right? Because this user service here is a property of the is a property of the user controller. So we need to use this keyword to access it, to call it, to call it and get the method. So but here in the routes here, the way ExpressJS is structured, right? This method now does not know the class that it's like, it doesn't know the class that it is being instantiated on, right? Then so because of that, this keyword here, this keyword in this controller, this will be undefined. Right, that's why we got this method here. If you look at, we got this error here. If you look at this error here, you see cannot read properties of undefined, and what were they were reading user service. So this keyword here is undefined. Then they were trying we are trying to read this user service from this, so it says it's reading undefined. Okay, and what is the solution? The solution is what I showed us the earlier time, binding. So we need to come here and do something like class bind. I will just give it the same instance, right? So we'll do that for this same thing here, dot bind, give it the same instance, right? So when we do this, now, our system will be okay. So if I call the endpoints, we got data now, no error. But let me pass, okay, 1 2, you see we console log 1 2 3. Let me pass that 1 2 3 user, okay, because we returned. Okay, let's wait, sorry. We're going to get the ID here, the ID will pass. Yeah, we got 1 2 3, this ID here. If I do pass anything here, if I send it, we're going to get the number here. See the numbers I just typed in. So our wiring is easygoing, is correct. All right, so this is the flow, guys. We are from app here. From our app, we created a route, routes here, like the main component of routes. Like we did this here, this is where our app starts from, like the routing starts from. Then here, what we have here, we have where we configured all the routes here. So far so good. We only have user routes configured. So what is contained in this user routes, when you come into the user routes here, which is here, you'll see where we configure the user route. So what are we using inside the user route? Actually, the user route is coupled with with the user controller. Okay, so in the user route, we are using the user controller. Then while in the user controller, we are using the user service. In the user controller, we are using the user service, right? So that is where user service is the last, like is the stop. Then here now we'll now start, we'll create our entities. We'll create an entities, then we'll figure out what next to do from there. So guys, are we still ready to go? Should I still continue? Let me get our votes. Oh,
Sorry,
we should.
I wanted to first understand, like,
Okay.
you know, I understood the controller and the other one that you talked about initially,
Yeah.
and the router, but the service is looking a little bit tricky. So where does it come in basically?
Okay.
Since the controller has already helped us access the was it the endpoint basically,
Yeah. Yeah.
makes the endpoint available. So where does the service comes in actually? You said something about database, but I'm trying to see how that connects basically.
Okay. Yes, that's good. That's a very good observation. So this is my controller, right? I'm inside the user controller, right? So um, the user controller takes the user service in its constructor, right? Now, whenever I the user service is what interact with the database. Like I can't be writing database query inside these controller methods. Like the queries that I will use to, because we're going to discuss that. I think we'll do that tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to discuss SQL tomorrow, right? I think that will be the first class before we start our code. I won't be writing SQL queries inside these controller methods here. So I won't be writing them here. Where am I going to write them? I'm going to write them inside the service. This is the user service, user class, right? That is why in the user service constructor, we have the pool here as a dependency, like a dependency here. You understand? That's why we have pool here as a dependency inside it. I have not used it here. I have not used the pool here to do anything. Okay, I just define the method and they are just returning whatever they receive. All right, I have not used it here. We're going to use it. Okay, so but in the user controller, in the user controller, if you check the constructor, we are not using pool here. There's no pool for the user controller. We only collect service here. The user service, we only connect a user service, so that we'll be able to use the user service to call to do our business logic. All right, so that is it. Then in the router here, in the route here, actually we imported user service and user controller into the route here. And why do we import the two? We are actually using the user controller with the route, because we are binding the route with the controller methods, all the methods we define inside the controller. We are putting it inside the route, right? So but why do we have user service here? We imported user service because the user controller needs user service in its dependency. So that's why we imported user service and add it to the user controller. And at the same time, while we are initializing the user service to give to the user controller, the user service also needs the pool database pool connection, so that we can initialize it, because in its dependency here it accepts pool, the database pool connection. That's why we imported database pool connection and give it to the user service. So in your mind now, what you should understand is that the controller cannot interact with the database. Like, it doesn't make good logic to write the database codes or business logic codes inside your controller. You write it inside your service, so your controller will be using your service to do business. All right, in fact, basically what your controllers are usually very lean. Like, you don't write logic, business logic inside controller. What controller do is that they collect requests, like you know what we are doing here is that we are collecting this request and we are passing it to this controller method. We are collecting this request and we're passing it to this controller method. Basically, that's what controllers do. So inside the methods now, what controllers do with the request that they receive, what they do is that they don't even do anything. They just take the request and take whatever the data they get, they give it to the user service, they give it to service to do whatever they want to do, right? So basically what controllers are doing is that they take the route and give it to the user service and call the appropriate service to to work on. So your business logic will be inside your service. Your business logic will be inside your service, while your controllers will just be for proper routing. Take this URL, when this URL is called, this controller will execute, and when the controller is executing, it's using the user service. The user service is meant for that logic to execute. All right, so that's basically the thing there. I don't know if you are still confused.
Okay, I think you updated. Okay, I think you updated this controller code basically.
Yeah, I updated it. Yes. Do you need
Okay,
me to share
so I
it?
would want to say maybe if it's tomorrow yes, if it's tomorrow for instance,
Yeah.
can we have a place where we can actually get the code? So just if we need to copy code while we're trying to catch up, we can actually just copy the code from there.
Okay.
What
Okay.
do you think? So that
Uh,
would save us more as opposed to interrupting you to just because you want to get the code.
that means yeah, we need to be doing. Um, is it like we use a sandbox?
Okay, so okay, no, what I'm saying more like okay, maybe like a GitHub repo that already has the completed code. So if at
Oh,
any point we're trying to code along, we can just
okay,
go there and
okay,
copy.
yeah. So, okay, what you're suggesting is that I give you guys the code, then I'll just be doing explanation. Probably I'll be coding along, but I'll just be doing explanation. Then if you need the code, you just copy from there.
Yes.
Okay,
So
yes.
so you're doing like what you're doing today, but
Yeah.
basically the difference will now be that
The code is
if we're looking for any code snippets, or trying to get stuff, can you just grab it and then just put it up and you just catch up rather than interrupting the class?
all right, all right. Like you, like okay, that's perfect. Like you guys know, I've the code base is already like everything is already set because I was able to demonstrate it with you guys here. I was able to demonstrate it here, so it means that it's already done. I have the completed code. So I will push it to a GitHub. Then I'll push it to GitHub public. I'll send it, share it with you guys, the completed code, right? Then you can just be looking at it, you know, play with it, right? So that as I'm working, you can, or even in your spare time, you can check it out. Then we can now complete it probably by tomorrow, or even if we are not able to complete it, but because if you understand the flow if you understand the flow of one module, you'll be able to understand the flow of the other modules, right? And it's basically the same, almost the same. Then when that is done, all right. So the code now we have, there's no Redis, there's no Redis, there is Docker, but the Docker, I'll push everything. There's no Redis, there's no Kafka yet. I want Kafka to be real time, like I will be Kafka and Redis. Well, I will still integrate them. I will integrate them before we have the class. All right. So when we integrate it, you guys will see it and know how to use that. Then I'm going to upload these two, the front end and the back end. Then I'll share the link with us, and we can now check it out. Everything will just
Okay,
be
please can
there.
you copy the updated user controller in the chat so we can use it to update our code?
All right, all right, all right. Controllers. Okay, the user controller.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, I think this will make sense. I give you guys the code, then you go through it, or while I'm explaining, you just be looking at it. But bear in mind that there's a lot other things that that are needed to be like extra things that are there. So when time comes, as we are going through, we explain everything.
Yes.
All
So
right.
so the whole idea is that we're still going to be coding along with you basically, but this
Yeah.
time we have
Yeah.
a fallback just in case.
All right. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. I really appreciate the your time. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me. We'll call it a day. Tomorrow we'll start 1 p.m. But we're going to start with SQL. I really need you guys. I really need us to discuss SQL just briefly. It's not something complex. Then from there, we'll now integrate our database. Everything will be straight when we integrate database. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. I hope you learned something. Please bear with me. I am not a seasoned teacher. I'm just someone who is curious to want to share my knowledge, want to help as many people as I can. I'm not a best teacher per se. In fact, this is my first anything online teaching. So I hope you guys will just bear with me and manage me like that. Hopefully, after this one, any course I want to teach, and guys, I will teach Rust. I don't know if you guys know Rust. I will teach Rust, but I don't know how I'm going to do that. If I'm going to do live class or whatever. I'm teaching like Rust. Rust is the like second most fastest language now after C, after C C plus plus. Rust is the second most fastest language, and people are adopting it now into. In fact, there's a project I'm working on, and it's a backend. I'm building REST APIs with Rust. In fact, basically backend REST with Rust using Axon framework, and it's really interesting. It's really interesting, honestly. You know.
Okay, so for the Rust now, are we going to have a different session apart from this one? A different program entirely for it?
Yeah, no, no, it's not. It's not this. I'm not bringing it here. No, 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 no.
Okay.
No, I'm
No,
just
no
saying it.
problem.
I have the mind. It's
We're
something
looking
I'm
forward
looking
to
forward
it.
to. All right, all right, all right. Hopefully after this, that will be next year. That will be next year by God's grace. If we, yeah, by God's grace, next year. If I, all right. See you guys later. Thank you for coming. Have a lovely weekend.
And you too. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Please, if you have any question, any challenge, you have a bug that is disturbing, feel free to reach out to me. I'll respond. All right.